Hello guys, Dior's here. So we are going to be doing something a little bit different. One of my videos that I did about a month ago from today kind of got a little bit popular. I got over 1,500 views on it. And I've had some interesting comments, and thought I'd give you some of my responses and some of my opinions on these comments. Now, these people that I will be featuring, I'm not going to be blocking out their names or anything like that. And be honest with you, these people, I'm not here to berate them or belittle them. In fact, I'm here to feature their comments because I really like their comments, and I just would like to give them a little bit more better detailed response than what I could actually type up in the comment section. Okay, so starting out, first comment here by Matthew McBurdy. It's entitled, "I love the 44, however, don't get a 44 mag handgun. Is too much recoil to the point of impracticality, especially if follow-up shot's important, unless, in my opinion, get a 44 mag lever action rifle like the Winchester 1873 or the Marlin 1894. These are awesome weapons that basically have endless capacity since they're both side-loadable, and if you're fast enough, better home defense weapon than a shotgun, in my opinion, shooting a killer round." And you know what, too, Matthew? I feel that you bring up a good point, a very, very strong point. 44 is no slouch. It's a very effective round. The reason why I try to steer clear from handgun or rifle of any kind, okay? And this is just based on the ballistics testing that I've been doing. I find that both handgun and rifle have a tendency of having problems of overpenetration. And that is a big issue when we're talking about self-defense or home defense. We do not want overpenetration. Now, there's some experts out there that will argue, don't worry about overpenetration. I say worry about it, especially if you're living in a house with other people, living within the same domicile as you. Or if you live in an apartment, that's a better example, You don't want to accidentally shoot through the walls, the interior walls between the two units, and accidentally hit your neighbor. It'd be a bad deal. And unfortunately, whether it be an AR-15, a 44 Magnum, 357, 9mm, 380, there's always going to be that chance of either overpenetration or, in some cases, like I said, and this is the worst case scenario, some cases, if your shots miss your intended target. Your intended target being that burglar, home invader, whatever. And like I said, I've already typed this up in comment, but you would want something that's either a frangible round, or you'd want some sort of like a coarse shot, like number 4 turkey load, something that will basically immediately disperse its energy upon striking sheetrock, like an interior wall. Because let's say, worst case scenario, there's an innocent bystander, you got a friend or roommate or family member or child sleeping in the room from the opposite side of the wall at which you shot. If that shot goes through, the likelihood that it will kill anybody inside that room is very, very low. I mean, we're talking about the person would basically have to be leaning up against the wall. And if I'm not mistaken, CRS Firearms has talked about this. Other channels have talked about this as well. But basically, you have to be leaning up against the wall. And don't, like I said, this isn't towards you specifically. This is basically to most people that don't like shotguns. Or like to talk down on them. Do not thumb your nose to birdshot, the power of birdshot. Do not underestimate the power of birdshot or the deadliness or the effectiveness of birdshot. You can pick out plenty of photos of cadavers of people who have died from birdshot injuries, from accidental discharges or negligent discharges. Birdshot at a 3 to 5 yard range, and that's usually the range that I usually test it out on, because 3 to 5 yards is going to be about the maximum distance in any given room to any given home. It is entirely devastating. You can punch, in fact, I should say I am capable of punching a baseball to roughly about a softball diameter hole through a 1/2 inch or even a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood. I can't say the same for 44 Magnum. Well, I don't have 44 Magnum, but I can't say the same for my 357 or any of my rifles. It just doesn't happen, The thing about the shotgun, it's firing off multiple projectiles at one time. Yeah, they're traveling at handgun velocities, but, take your average handgun projectile and, say, multiply it times 9. or in some cases, multiply it by 27. That's the equivalence. You're getting hit with that rather than just a single spot. I mean, you're getting hit with, rather than getting hit with a single projectile from a handgun and a small spot, you're getting hit with multiple projectiles in the same given area. And this is going to lead to my next point, okay? Unlike what they show in the movies, unlike what you might hear, or what you might see in video games, the rule of thumb is for shotguns with any given shot, regardless of whether you're shooting birdshot or buckshot, with the exception of slugs, okay? We're going to leave slugs out because slugs are a whole completely different animal. But whether it's buckshot or birdshot, some sort of game load or steel shot, the rule of thumb is for every 1 yard of travel, you're going to have roughly about 1 inch of spread. If you factor in, say, you are engaging a target that's roughly about 20 feet away, which is pretty damn far, to be honest with you, especially if we're talking about home defense, which is really what this video is about. If we're talking about 20 feet away, if you do the math, that is roughly it's going to be somewhere between 7 and maybe 8 inches in diameter. So roughly about the diameter of a dinner plate, okay? And like I said, that's pretty much a guarantee instant kill, assuming you get your, like I said, you get your shot placement correct. This is going to bring me up to my next comment. Okay. Let's see. This one was racing with parameters. Women and children are turned off after shooting one 12-gauge shell. Now contrast that with an AR where they will shoot full mags and ask for more. A lot of people who worship shotguns never went out and shot it, or went out and shot a few rounds and stopped because their shoulder hurts since they bought it. They need to justify its existence and ignore the fact that it's not comfortable to them personally. That is bad when you're afraid of your firearm because of recoil. Also, if you don't have the arm strength, wielding the shotgun is a task, especially when your magazine is part of the barrel with more muzzle mass. What I like about the 12-gauge shotgun what I like about the shotgun is shoot ridiculous powerful shells. An AR-223 may take 5-6 rounds to penetrate cinder block, whereas a 12-gauge slug takes 1 to annihilate it. And yeah, for the most part, a lot of that is correct. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. The 12-gauge is not the end-all, be-all weapon, but I'm not gonna lie. There is no single firearms platform out there that is the do-it-all kind of weapon. I don't know of any other gun out there where you can take out a squirrel, okay? Take out a squirrel or rabbit, or take out a dove, and then turn around, load it up with something else, and be able to take down an elk. I don't know of any other weapon that can do that, okay? If there is another weapon out there that can do that, please put it in the comment section. But as far as I'm aware, the smoothbore, open-cylinder, 12-gauge pump shotgun is the most versatile weapons platform out there, hands down, okay? Granted, like I said, it's not perfect because, certain people, mainly women, and mainly people of smaller stature, smaller frame, people that may not have the arm strength or the upper body strength to wield a shotgun, this 12-gauge might not be the correct gun for them. In that one case, I might recommend going with the 20. Now, 20 is not nearly as powerful as a 12, but a 20-gauge is no slouch. It is that is a weapon. It is a formidable weapon. There's no BS behind it. I would not want to be shot by one of those. They are about almost as deadly as a 12-gauge. Not as, but pretty damn close. Pretty damn effective. I guess why I would advocate a 12 over 20 is because ammo is going to be a lot easier to find, a lot more plentiful for a 12-gauge, on top of that being a NATO caliber. But since we're talking about people that might not want to shoot a shotgun because the recoil is a little too much for them or it's a little too heavy, I can understand this argument to a degree. Now, one of the things that I can say about the 12-gauge, yes, if you happen, like I said, we're talking about extreme situations, like WRL type situations, where, say, you have to engage an enemy and he or she is ducking behind a cinder block wall for cover. It will take quite a few rounds with normal ball ammo out of an AR-15 shooting either 223 Remington or 55 grain Full Metal Jacket 5.56. We'll take quite a few rounds to punch through the cinder block, and then you'll need a few more rounds to after it goes through the cinder block to actually hit the intended target. Whereas a 12 gauge slug, you're looking at somewhere between two and three shots, and you're already through that cinder block. Like I said, by the third shot, should be by the second or third shot, that shot should already be hitting the intended target. Something you can't say about most rifle rounds, okay? And I guess you can also lump in handgun rounds in this case. I'm going to say this. I do not, like I said, I am not trying to justify getting a shotgun because I'm displeased with the shotguns I own. That's far from the truth. I have learned to adapt and overcome some of the shortfalls of the shotgun. For instance, I put recoil pads on 2 of my shotguns, and the other one, I installed the pistol grip and top folding stock. Since I reload my own ammo, I just basically reload lower recoil ammo for that gun, and it makes it work. Makes it work just fine. But, I have no issues shooting a couple of 3-inch magnums even out of that gun. Alright, so, next comment that I would like to feature by Steamy Stein, or is it Steamy Stein? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, but anyhow. So this is a good comment. Unfortunately, in a home defense scenario, a 18-inch barrel is a bit unwieldy in hallways and tight confines. That's where an AR-9 pistol with a brace works well. Well, and I've seen, like I said, you've posted, like I said, I've seen that you've posted comments multiple times, so I'm gonna try to lump all your comments into one response here, one detailed response, to the best of my knowledge. Okay. I guess another comment, you said that you live in a 2-bedroom apartment, which is fine. Okay. What I'm trying to get at here, okay? I'm not trying to belittle you, man. Okay. The response I typed up basically states that with modern day construction, standard construction of homes, buildings, single wide trailers, mobile home trailers, honest to God, I cannot picture a stairwell being too tight, too narrow, or a doorway being too tight or too narrow, or a hallway or corner being too tight or narrow for an 18-inch barrel shotgun. I can definitely see that argument being true if we were talking about a shotgun with a hunting length barrel, a barrel that's, say, 25 inches, or I'd say actually almost over 20 inches, to be honest with you. Anything over 20 inches, or I said 25, 28, or 30-inch barrel, I could see that being true. That would be very unwieldy. But there's a reason why a lot of these home defense shotguns and combat shotguns have short barrels, so you can round these corners. You can round these tight areas pretty well. I just don't see that comment holding very well, especially being, like I said, 18-inch barrel shotgun, and we're talking about modern-day construction, home, apartment, or trailer, or what have you. And my response ended up being, unless you live on an active naval warship with narrow passageways, I just don't see this argument being true. And like I said, I can actually argue for the passageways on a active naval warship. I got to tour USS Truxtun in person, and of course, as you guys know, I was a submariner, and I was stationed on the USS Minnesota. So, but anyhow, that's another topic for another time. So, what I'd like to say, the thing about this comment, basically what I'm getting out of this comment here, that this guy's saying, that he needs something compact so he can clear rooms, because that's about what I'm getting out of this argument. It's literally about all I'm getting out of this argument. Maybe that's not what you're trying to state, but that's what I'm gathering out of this argument. You were trying to clear rooms. And whether or not this is what this comment's about, this would be an excellent topic to bring up for this video for the sake of legalities and the sake of basically identifying the dangers. Okay? So, the legality of going around and like I said, survival prepping for normal people, I remember him bringing this up a while ago. One of the issues is certain states have different laws in regards to home invasion. You can't just simply get up and start going room to room and clearing your house when something goes bump in the night. If you happen to unfortunately live in a state where there is no castle law doctrine and there is no stand your ground doctrine, and they require you to barricade yourself in a room, well, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to engage the intruder or engage the burglar, okay? The courts see this, okay? If the courts find out, because I guarantee you, if you shoot somebody, whether it be for legitimate reasons or not, you will be brought into court, regardless. There will be an investigation conducted. What I'm trying to get at is if you are supposed to be barricaded inside a room of your house, and you didn't do that, and it's pretty obvious, it's evident that you were clearing your house when you should have been barricaded in, the court is going to look, and like I said, this really depends on the courts, and this depends on the judge and the jury. The court might look down on this, they might frown upon this, and be like, well, this guy didn't follow state law, the protocol of barricading himself in the room. He was actually looking for trouble. This man was looking to commit murder. This is a bad deal. Bad deal. And that's the deal. They could in fact turn this case around, turn against you, and either charge you with murder, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, or attempted murder. Either way, you're going to jail, and you're more likely to get charged with a felony. So, probably not a good idea, okay? The other legality I want to bring up, too, and this is, like I said, this is more or less in regards to, I should say, this kind of goes back to the whole overpenetration thing, okay? If you, like I said, if you are out and about in your house, and you engage the home invader, and you shoot them, whether your bullet hits its mark or it misses, this goes back to the whole overpenetration thing. If you are using a pistol or a rifle without some sort of frangible round, or a round that can immediately disperse its kinetic energy into the body, or into the wall if you miss, you're going to have an overpenetration problem on your hands. It sounds crazy, right? But unlike what they show in the movies, unlike what you see on video games or what anybody tells you, in the world of fantasy and make-believe, you cannot just simply, fantasy and make-believe and real life just do not cross, okay? You cannot just simply dive behind a kitchen counter or dive behind a sofa or dive behind an interior wall and expect it to take bullets and stop the bullets. It just doesn't happen. A 9mm round, and I've said this before, a 9mm round, if you were street side of your house and you were to shoot a 9mm round from the exterior wall of your house, assuming your house isn't made out of brick, it's modern day construction. Where you had wood siding, aluminum siding, vinyl siding. If you shot a 9mm round from the street side of your house into the exterior wall, it'll have enough energy to exit through the opposite side of that wall, hit a few more interior walls, go through all those walls, and it'll still have enough energy to more than likely exit out the other side and strike your neighbor's house. I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but in reality, bullets are a lot more powerful and a lot more capable of penetrating things than what people give them credit for. Okay? Granted, there's some building materials that certain calipers are just not going to be able to penetrate or not going to be able to penetrate in the first shot. But going back to what I was saying, if your shot overpenetrates its intended target, let's say you're using ball ammo, not everybody that's getting into firearms understands the difference between a frangible round or a expanding hollow point round. They don't understand the difference between those two and like regular ball ammo. To them a bullet is a bullet. And you know what? In some ways, they'd be right. But it depends on the application. If that bullet exits that intended target and goes through your exterior wall and strikes either an innocent bystander or, heaven forbid, strikes innocent bystander in your house like one of your children, you're gonna be in some serious trouble. Again, you'll be going to jail for this. There will be an investigation. You'll probably be serving some prison sentence. And let's say the worst doesn't happen. Let's say the bullet strikes a piece of property. Neighbor's house, shed, garage, outbuilding, porch, patio furniture, or children's playground, swing set. You're going to be held liable for any property damage that is caused from the bullet exiting the muzzle of your weapon. Okay, so that's why I need to harp on the like I said, overpenetration. It's very, very serious, and that's why I recommend a 12 gauge shotgun with either number 4 buckshot or, preferably, in my opinion, number 4 turkey load. Number 4 turkey load is not as powerful as buckshot, but it's not like a regular low brass target load or sporting clay load or birdshot load. It's a little bit more powerful. It's designed to take down turkeys, but it's a little bit more effective at putting holes in human targets. It will put roughly about a 3 to 4 inch deep baseball diameter hole in unprotected flesh of a torso or gut. And yeah, there might be some people out there, some of these gun tubers out there that argue, well, if a person's wearing body armor, if he's wearing heavy denim or a Carhartt jacket or a hoodie or several layers of clothing, like several sweatshirts and t-shirts, it won't go through, just like the 22. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. If you want to argue that, come meet me. We'll go out to the gun range. I'll have you stand downrange for me for about 3 to 4 yards, and I'll load my shotgun up with some birdshot, and we'll test this argument. Okay? I'm pretty certain you're not going to win this. Unless this home invader in question is wearing some sort of soft body armor or some sort of plate carrier with either ceramic plates or maybe AR-500 or AR-600 steel plates, you're not going to be stopping this shot, okay? This is going to be very devastating, and at the very least, it's going to be very painful. And there's, like I said, there's multiple components to this shot. And like I said, this goes back to the whole 44 Magnum argument. There's multiple components that go to this shot. For one, it's basically the velocity of each of these projectiles is the equivalence of shooting a handgun. But like I said, you got to multiply that times 9 or times 27 or however many pellets there happen to be, and based on their diameter and to their respective handgun counterpart. On top of that, you got to take into account the shock wave that's being transferred into the soft, fleshy tissue. Your body is 75% water. That shock wave, that energy that's getting transmitted to all your organs and everything. Even if you're wearing body armor, it's getting transmitted to the organs. You're still looking at potential of very least broken ribs, potentially ruptured, like I said, ruptured organs. Certain organs, like your spleen, might rupture. You might cause enough trauma or enough shock to certain organs to where they just completely fail and completely stop. And it's just basically it's an instant death sentence to anybody that gets hit with that. So that's one thing to take into effect. Now back to the whole legalities of this, okay? Or actually, legalities and dangers of clearing your house. The other thing I would like to bring up, so if you are untrained or inadequately trained or not very well practiced on being able to properly clear a building or your own home, I don't recommend doing that. I really don't. It's one thing if you go in the general area to see what's going on. It's another thing if you're actually going through and clearing rooms. Going room to room and clearing it. Any well-trained SWAT guy, any well-trained Special Forces guy that specializes in kicking in doors and clearing houses, they can tell you that there are some very real dangers of potentially getting shot, potentially getting injured, getting stabbed, bad guy being just around the corner or coming out of nowhere, or potentially getting shot by friendly fire from your guys, which leads me into my next topic here, which is similar. It's on the same lines. Say you, a spouse or a roommate or a family member, whoever you happen to be living with, you guys both decide you're going to start clearing the house, and you're both armed, but you are both, you're trained. This could be a deadly situation because you could, like I said, one of you guys could end up getting shot. Could end up getting shot from friendly fire from the other person. All things to consider. Now, that's my opinion. That's why I thought I'd give you. And, I agree, Let you do you and let me do me, But, I thought I would bring that out there. Because, like I said, these are things that people need to consider. And, like I said, I thought that you guys had some really good comments, and I would like to give you as detailed a response as I possibly could. Yeah, this was actually kind of fun for me. Anyhow, well, that's all I have to say. I'm Diorce, and I'm out. You guys have yourselves a good one. Bye-bye. And one more thing I'd like to add before I actually close out this video for real. These are two other arguments. I'm I'm pretty certain that a couple of them were in the comments. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring them up or screen cap them or not. But I've also, these have been brought up in real life too, in person, and I've, had these long discussions with coworkers and friends. Some people will argue, well, I want a semi-auto shotgun. I want that 12 gauge AK style shotgun. I'm not sure what they I can't remember what the hell they call those, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or I want an AR-12, Rock Island AR-12, and if I have issues with magazine capacity, all I have to do is slap a drum mag on that. Well, one of the reasons why I don't like semi-auto shotguns, and I'm not saying that all semi-autos are bad. I actually like semi-auto weapons in general. But I prefer semi-auto handguns and semi-auto rifles. Shotguns, on the other hand, different story. If I'm going to get a shotgun, it either has to be a break action double barrel or it's going to have to be a pump action. But I will not do semi-autos for good reason. The issue being with semi-auto shotguns is that they have a higher tendency of jamming. 100% absolutely have a higher tendency of jamming. Unlike that of you compare an AR-12 to an AR-15 or an AR-10. Like I said, it's got a higher chance of jamming because not all shot shells are equal. Not all shot shells are made equally. You could pretty much argue for the most part, by and large, most handgun ammo, regardless who manufactures it, regardless of what kind of, whether it's plus P or not, or regardless of whether it's hollow point or ball ammo, for the most part, all 9mm is going to be the same. Okay, it's going to perform about the same. You should expect about the same results. Same goes for 223 Remington or 5.56 or whatever your rifle ammo happens to be. It's gonna roughly be about the same. Shotgun ammo, on the other hand, different case, different story altogether. And here's what I'm trying to get at with this semi-auto. You know what? You'll have different birdshot loads, whether they be manufactured under the same brand name. You got so many different types of birdshot loads, so many different kinds of buckshot loads. You've got low recoil, moderate recoil, high recoil, 2 3/4 inch loads, and 3-inch magnums and 3.5-inch super magnums. Now, I don't think any of those semi-auto shotguns I listed off are going to have capabilities of accepting 3.5-inch magnum loads, but some of the traditional hunting style semi-auto shotguns, take for instance the Ted Williams special made by Winchester Arms. It was discontinued back in back sometime in the late 70s, early 80s. That gun in particular is actually chambered in only 2 3/4 inch shells, by the way. But you would have to dial the shotgun in for the particular load that you're shooting. You can't just go switch from one load to another load midstream. You don't even really have that option to really candy cane all that easily. You have to dial in. A lot of these guns, they have adjustable gas blocks you have to dial in. And on top of that, there's a break-in period where you actually have to shoot off so many rounds to actually break in the buffer tube spring on the gun so it will properly cycle the shells reliably. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like that. The other reason, too, is you got this thing adjusted for low recoil loads, and you're trying to shoot high recoil, or you forget to readjust it for high recoil, and you start pounding away with some rounds, you're going to do some undue damage to your components of your shotgun. Vice versa, you have your shotgun dialed in for heavy recoil loads, you forget to switch it, and you're shooting off some low recoil birdshot loads, like, for instance, like those pink Federal Top Gun loads, Top Gun rounds, number 8 shot. It might not cycle. You might get one shot to go off, but it will not eject the empty shell casing and load a fresh shell into the firing chamber. This, to me, is problematic, especially in combat. And granted, I'm talking about some extremes, okay? Typically, if you're going to go into combat, you're going to have uniform shots, you're going to have uniform ammo. You might have 2 different kinds of ammo, 2 different kinds of standardized ammo, but for the most part, everything's going to be pretty standard. But, if things get as bad as I think it's going to be, you're probably going to be scavenging for ammo in different places. So you're going to have different kinds of ammo stored in different conditions, different environments. different ammo manufactured by different people, different manufacturers, different manufacturing processes and practices. Like I said, different loads, different powder charges, different shots. So you want to be able to have a kind of one of those well-rounded type weapon systems that can be able to accept all this ammunition without giving you much protest. Lastly, I want to talk about drum mags and double stack magazines on shotguns. Now, I don't see really any. I've not seen any double stack magazines for like the AR-10s or the AK shotguns, but like that's what it is. The Sega 12 shotgun. I haven't seen any double stacks, but the Mossberg 590M magazine model. It's a pump shotgun that takes a double stack mag. These are kind of unwieldy in my opinion. I don't really like them. They're kind of bulky, kind of unwieldy. And when we're talking about magazines like these double stacks and the drum mags, they get a little, they're a little heavy for one. They're very heavy, I should say. 25 rounds of just about any given shot shell. You're looking at about 2 to 3 pounds. 2-3 pounds of dead weight. And some of these drum mags they're about right there, about 25 rounds. So, and this is gonna go into my next topic, and this is something that Nut and Fancy has brought up, and I think he mostly was referring to the drum mags for rifles. But you got a lot of moving components compared to that of a stick mag. A lot of moving components, higher rate of failure. You're gonna add that up with your higher rate of failure with your semi-auto shotgun, and there you go. Hard to maintain. More likely to jam, more likely to have a stovepipe jam, more likely to have possibly a double feed, or it might not even cycle properly because of many different factors. I'm not saying that these guns are useless. I'm not saying that they are absolute garbage, but I would rather have something that's been tried and true and has never failed, and that would be the classic pump action, open cylinder, smoothbore shotgun. On top of that, there's less regulation on these guns. Like, even in the most stringent of states with the worst tyrannical gun laws in existence, these guns are still looked at as hunting weapons, hunting implements. They're not even, even the most liberal courts, they would have a hard time trying to justify or trying to argue that these guns, factory made, coming fresh out of the factory, wood stocks or even synthetic stocks, are assault weapons, But anyhow, that is the last, I promise you, that is the last bit of argument I'm going to give you. I'm Diorce, and I'm out. And that is for real this time. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.